Probably cooler if it's not even opened. And we're live.
And we're rolling?
We're rolling. We are rolling.
All right.
So, remember guys, like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, rate this wherever you're listening. Spotify,
help us out a little bit.
Amazon, Apple, wherever you may be listening. YouTube, obviously.
Yeah.
Anybody that's watching. Doesn't cost anything to hit the like or
share
give
it.
us a rating. Yeah, share it.
Help us out a little bit.
Trying to grow it, trying to create some reach.
And we're getting there. We're getting some traction. So help push us out there a little further, guys.
Yeah, looks like we were talking the last video. Doing better.
Performed real well.
Yeah, it's fun having a guest.
So, yeah, we'll have to do that again.
It was definitely added a different dynamic to it, right?
Yeah, dude.
It was interesting to see someone else's reaction in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Figuring out, who we want for a guest, what kind of content do we want to bring, It'd be nice to get some feedback and find out what people want to hear about.
Yeah.
And really seek out someone with some knowledge in a specific area, maybe. Like,
right.
Whether it's...
Let us dig into it. And
whether it's fucking spaceships or war or...
some new bacteria.
Economy.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It'd be neat if people gave us something, some direction on what they wanted to hear about. And we could, because I know we have interest in, but... which is fine. We have to sit down ourselves and figure out, who do we want to bring on? What do we want to talk about?
Well, the feedback I got from last week's video was really good. I think I got some good feedback from that deep diving into, like men's emotions and, it's such a taboo subject. Like, there's just not a ton of content out there about that. That's a conversation that isn't had enough. That's what I was told. That's definitely something that needs to be talked about more and put out there in the public. And
and I don't have a problem with that. That's fine.
That made sense. So I think sometimes the deep dive into some of that stuff I think is good. So yeah, well, here we are. Rome's still burning.
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring out too last week. You'd said about, about the jab and the police coming to your house and making you take it. And I just want to clear. I'm assuming you were being sarcastic.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure we clarify that because there's somebody out there sitting in front of their computer going, "Yep, I knew it.
Right.
I think we can see what would happen just based on what they did.
Sure.
Right. It would just be a restriction of your ability to participate in society because they don't have the manpower to go door to door. And we've seen it when Trump, former President Trump, right, banned a gun part, right, with the stroke of a pen, banned a gun part. And they didn't go door to door collecting those gun parts.
No,
if you get caught with
strong
it,
enough yet.
I don't think
would they someday? It's possible someday, I guess. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people thought that it was impossible that you could throw 6 million Jews into a furnace, too. So
that's where
you have to be careful that to not ever push it out so far like it's impossible to happen. But likely, no. Especially right now, no. That was absolutely just sarcasm on my point or part, I should say.
I think, again, it would just... We've seen the extent of their powers and capabilities was just to regulate your participation in society, right?
Exactly.
Whether it's going to a store or a restaurant.
And if I had to guess, I would say that's how they would do it again.
And even with...
Make it very difficult to live without it.
I had this conversation not too long ago with a guy at work, and he said... what are you going to do when they come to your door for your guns? I'm like, they're not coming to your door for your guns. He's like, oh, yes, they are. I'm like, stop. They're not. I said, they ban a certain magazine or a certain featured
Right.
firearm, right?
Right.
Fill in the blank, AR,
Yep.
AK, whatever. They're not going to come. For one, they don't even know you own that AR-15. That's a misconception too.
Exactly.
That people have out there, that they have a list of every gun you have in your house. No, they know that you purchased a handgun or a rifle, a long
Right.
gun. They don't know that you purchased an AR or a bolt action rifle. It's just
Right.
long gun. They don't even know the make, model, serial number. They don't know any of that.
Right.
So unless you posted pictures, look
No,
at my
that's
new
where I was
AR.
gonna go. Like a lot of people on social media, them out target shooting, and
Right.
pictures of them at the range. And if you don't believe that the federal government data mines the shit out of our social media, then yeah, you're making a mistake, because they do.
So for one, okay, let's just, for the sake of this conversation,
Right.
when you called in your when they called in your background check at the gun shop, all they said was whether it was a long gun.
Right.
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 So they don't even know that you have that AR-15 per se.
Exactly.
Right.
Not through the background check.
Right.
Right.
So what they would do is like they did with the bump stocks.
Yeah.
The gun part I was talking about that former President Trump banned.
Right.
It's just now if you get caught with it, right?
Exactly.
And that's how they would do it. That's the easiest way, right?
Right.
It's on individual by individual basis as they catch you. They pull you over and you have it, whatever, right? They didn't mine the database of the bump stock company and find out who they sold them all to, and then went to all and searched credit card records and went door to door confiscating these bump stocks.
Yet.
They don't have the resources. They don't have
86,000 new IRS agents. Like, I mean, look at how easy it was to put them people on the payroll, and I think that it's still a step in that direction that we need to be mindful of.
I get it.
And pay attention to, so that we're not so complacent of, that could never happen here, then it does. Because seatbelt laws were that way. Oh, we're not going to pull you over for not wearing your seatbelt, but if we pull you over and you're not wearing it, well, you're going to get a ticket.
Right.
And it wasn't very long afterwards, and it was like, well, we're pulling you over because you're not wearing it. So, I think we just have to.
Well, I think they passed additional laws. Right,
sure.
yeah, they passed additional laws to allow them to.
Still a step, but the migration of little steps getting us used to those kinds of things, like passing unconstitutional laws that absolutely stomp on your 2A rights, and little by little, free speech, our First Amendment. Look at how cancel culture now. People are kind of getting used to not really wanting to throw out your opinion sometimes, because you're going to get shut down. We've had that conversation here about what we can say and what we can't, because we don't want to get nuked, and then we're not talking to anybody. But yet,
I definitely hold that.
Yeah,
and I thought about that too, about maybe doing a Patreon video where we just let it fucking eat. We just
let it rip.
How we feel on certain subjects, topics, that way we're protected, ish. Right, from at least not losing this here, right? So I thought, I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah, I like it.
Something cheap, $5 a month, something cheap where people can just tune in and we can just.
The cost of one cup of coffee in a month. And we'll just let it rip then.
Because there's a lot of times when we hit stop record.
And then it really goes. The rabbit hole is deep, my friends. It is deep.
Yeah. Because there's stuff we can't say here that we would absolutely get canceled.
Oh, yeah. Just nuked right out of here.
Even if it wasn't from here, there'd be enough people that'd be upset that they'd.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be fun. Because I think we're pretty passionate in some of our beliefs, and we've put a tremendous amount of thought into those.
Yeah.
I think they're very thought-provoking, and we could definitely deep dive some shit that I think people would have fun with. We should do that.
Yeah, especially you start, like again, a lot of those topics, a lot of our best topics, it seems like happens when we stop record, and we're uploading the video and we're sitting here just And we
And
just
you know
start.
what? I try really hard. I'm conflicted with this because I try to be genuine and authentic here, in front of
Yeah.
this camera, and like I don't want to hold back what I think or how I feel, because that was the whole purpose of this, was
Right.
two normal guys sitting on their ass talking about shit that's going on in the world
Right.
or whatever. Just kind of what normal average people think, and then I catch myself sometimes holding
Mm-hmm.
back. Oh, that's hard.
It is,
you know.
but if we do just let it eat here, right, and we
Then
just
yeah, then you're
and
not
then
talking to anybody.
right, because they're gonna shadow ban it, they're gonna
Yeah,
block it, they're gonna
exactly.
you know
So
downgrade it.
we try to
It's not
find
even.
that
It's not gonna reach. So
middle ground, that magical spot where you're getting enough of your opinion out there, but not,
right,
yeah,
not so much that
where
it's
you're
not gonna
causing
reach
trouble.
anybody. Then if
Right.
anybody wanted to hear anything beyond that, that probably would prevent the channel from growing
Yeah,
and the reach
because I think the other
growing.
part of it was to just, we wanted to make people think,
Right.
not tell them what to think.
Right.
I don't want to tell anyone what to think. I just want to tell you to think.
Right.
Just question it, man. Everything. I question everything. And sometimes maybe, I'm the tinfoil hat wearing person, I admit, but uh, I don't know. I've learned throughout life that asking questions is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to take shit at face value anymore, because I've been made a fool of too many times,
Right.
doing that.
Right.
So
No doubt.
um, yeah. So well, branching off, I guess a natural segue into Twitter,
Hmm.
huh? You gonna
Yeah.
start tweeting now or what?
I have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
When
avoided Twitter. I've never touched it, and
I
I might. We'll see.
I didn't either until I saw the ridiculous shit Trump would
Yeah.
say on there, right?
Right.
So I thought, and I got onto it. I was the same way. Had
Yeah.
no interest. Just I didn't want to partake. I didn't
Right.
see enough value there to
Yep.
give it my time, right? But then I would see the stuff on the news, right, about
Yeah.
Trump tweeted this and tweeted that. So
He
I
had fun.
actually, and not that I'm even a fan, right?
Right.
Not that I'm not pro Trump. I'm not a fan. Okay, but I got on there and he was the only one I followed,
Yeah.
and it was comical. And then when they kicked him
Sure.
off, I deleted
Yeah.
my account. I'm like, well, that's the only reason I came here, is just to watch the ridiculous
Right.
shit he would post and read the comments and shit. It was just entertainment for me, right?
Think they'll put him back on there?
So okay, so hold on a second. So
Oh,
when Elon said he was going to buy Twitter,
yeah.
I signed back up
Right.
because I thought, well, this could get
Yeah.
interesting. And I
Sure
wanted to make
could.
sure I secured my username.
Yeah.
And then I created one for the podcast too, and I tweet the link when we upload the new video. I
Yeah.
tweet the link there, and uh, um,
It'll be interesting.
so yeah, so I've been on there for a little while since he announced he was going to buy it, and then I thought I was going to delete again because it didn't look like the deal was going to go
Yeah.
through. And again, the only reason I did was for entertainment value. I thought, well, this could get interesting, and it
Sure.
did too, right? We
Yeah.
saw liberals losing followers and
Yeah.
conservatives
Kind of crazy how that
gaining,
worked, huh?
right?
Like instantly.
Right when he announced that,
Yeah.
and then he put the hold on it, and
Right.
it will be interesting.
I don't know. I haven't signed up yet. I'm kind of, I don't know how much I trust it yet. Like a lot of people celebrated, like, yay, he's gonna buy it, and now it'll be a fair area
Mm-hmm.
where you're not gonna get canceled for having an opinion that's different
Mm-hmm.
than someone else's.
Well, and
He's kind of almost leaning like conservative
didn't he say
area,
he was
right?
going to vote?
Yeah, he said he's gonna vote Republican, but say what you're gonna do in one hand, shit in the other. Tell me which
Right.
one weighs more. Like,
Right.
I've heard lots of shit that we're gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. So I'm kind of waiting. Like, I love it. The image of him walking in there with the kitchen sink was just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
He fired some people that needed to be gone. Now, if he really does start to open this up to people that were canceled for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump on it. I'll start to participate. I'm kind of watching to see, is he really gonna do this, or was this just kind of some hype and some talk? And And then he's going to get in there, and then he's going to find out, well, you can't really, because then these people won't advertise. I already heard some people screaming that if Trump comes back on, they're not going to advertise on it. And will he crumble to that pressure or not? If he crumbles to the pressure, then I'll tell you straight up, fuck Twitter. Like, I won't ever touch it. But if he does, if he really tries to revamp it, and I'll jump in there. Sure.
Okay, so
because I don't mind debating some liberals and stuff. Like, let's do it.
Is it a win either way though for him?
You know what? In some ways.
Because what was Twitter before he was going to buy it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just a left echo chamber because they'd silenced any other voice, right?
Yep.
So it's a win-win either way for him, right?
Right.
Whether it fucking is profitable and works out, or it collapses. He took down the largest town square the world's ever known.
Oh, true.
And he shut it down anyways, right?
Implode it, Yeah.
So it's kind of a win-win. I mean, he's the richest guy in the world. What's $40 billion to him?
Yeah. Truthfully, I just see like a lot of people, they're panicking, and that's kind of what I'm watching is how the opposition's handling this. If they're taking it really serious, then he probably is more in line with my way of thinking than theirs. I'm just a little cautious when the rich people stand up. They're like, I really care about the people. You know how many times we heard that shit? No, you don't. You care about your own profits and, like staying on top. But I think
he seems a little
better.
Different.
Yeah, I think
he seems
a little bit different.
Yeah, there is. And again, I don't put my trust and faith in anybody.
Right. He was going to buy it, then he wasn't, then he wasn't. And, the whole thing just was weird. So I just just dialed it back, and I'm just watching it, Bill Gates hates it. So that kind of makes me a fan, because I'm definitely not a fan of that man by any means or measure.
Right.
So that kind of, I'm just kind of watching the opposition, and, they are really on fire about this, and that kind of makes me trust it more.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Interesting times. I really didn't think it was gonna happen. I thought some way it was gonna, and it looked like it was almost going the way I thought it would in my head, like, because I signed back up,
all the
momentum was there, and then all of a sudden, well, it looks like the deal's not gonna go through because of the whole bot thing, and what's going to be interesting is when his engineers get in there and go through that code and find out if there was any fuckery.
What they haven't been able to cover up. I mean, they've had a couple of months now to go through and try to clean some of this, but
there's a digital fingerprint in both directions, right?
Nothing's never really totally gone, right?
And if he has really good engineers, I'm sure they can.
Which I still don't understand.
Look back and see where changes.
Hillary got away with smashing phones and shit, and like, there's no evidence and nothing. Wouldn't there be somewhere? If you really wanted to look for it.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, it's just, again, the system, right? Yeah. It's the fucking machine that we're gonna investigate this and look into this, but we're really not. I'm just telling you guys that to keep you guys calm, so that you keep going to work and be that fucking sheep. Go to work, pay your taxes, give us your money, do your part so that we don't have to. I hate the machine. I just do, and I was really cautious on, is he more of the machine or is he more, and honestly, I think he's probably more of a humanitarian. I think he's a little different. I agree with you. I think you're correct. I think he's a little bit unique, and, maybe he is kind of the savior of free speech in the First Amendment. I don't know. We'll see.
Again, I'm not putting all my faith into him, or
No, but if he did that, that's huge.
If you're not one of my close friends or one of my family members,
exactly.
You're just a name out there,
you're not anyone I'm going to depend on for life. So hopefully he does what he says, and hopefully he makes it public. You know what I mean? His engineers are in there digging around. Tell the truth. Put it out there. Hey, this is what Twitter did, man.
It could get interesting, especially considering that there's an election coming up just a couple weeks from now, and some stuff comes out. It could get very interesting.
Very, So I want to know, if the system's cheating, and we have our own opinions about that. I'll keep some of them to myself for now. You guys got to pay for that shit.
Yeah, because you and I have gone back and forth
Yeah.
even on that.
Oh yeah.
For
sure.
Mm.
So yeah, it was funny. Or not funny. It was absolutely shocking. Like I have sat here different times and complained about. I don't want to complain about the rich and wealthy because I want to be rich and wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want there to be a path that if you work hard, you can get there, and the system not be so like leaning against you. But I bitch a lot about insider trading and the stocks and the war machine and like now 6 months in most of my adult life there's been 6 months that technically we weren't at war and we're right back into another one and I watch these people getting rich and I'm bitching all the time about Nancy Pelosi and she's been around for 300 years now. Fucking she's a mummy, a walking fucking mummy that's still running shit and she shouldn't be, and the insider trading that her husband does, and then I turn on some media and I find out he got canucked. Whew, man, that was surprising. Like,
sounds like it might just be it's hard to say if it was a random incident.
Right.
And this is what's hard about early on, because yesterday you had sent me the link, right?
Yeah.
And it sounded like he was already released, but then today I hear he has to have brain surgery. So I'm like, it's so conflicting so early on.
Was the guy was yelling, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" And that he's part of the Green Party.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Sorry for all them liberals that said, look it's a Trumpster, it's a MAGA guy that went in there and tried to assassinate him. No, it was obviously someone that probably has mental illness, no doubt. But someone that actually is kind of liberal. So I don't know. I have some thoughts on that too that I'm not gonna necessarily disclose here. But yeah, I think now we have gotten to the point in the world in our universe that we need to register hammers. Like I think
what we need to do is
minors should not be able to have a hammer.
What we need to do is denounce violence. Exactly. It's never okay.
Nope.
I don't care how upset you are. It's not going to solve anything. It's only going to make things worse. It's going to make the people that you associate with look worse, your cause look worse. It's never okay. Right. We saw that in Michigan.
Yeah.
With a couple guys get duped by a dozen FBI agents,
oh my
right?
Lord. Yeah.
Right before an election.
Yep.
So what did that help?
Nothing. I mean, it helped the
right. That's cause, what
right? Yeah, for sure. And January 6th, I'll admit it. There was on the other side of the building, there was a riot. There were some MAGA people there acting like assholes. But they instead of getting their message out there,
they let themselves get duped in by a couple agitators. Let them get them riled up. And
who's on video causing it, instigating
and convince these people that it's okay to destroy our own Capitol building.
Right.
To destroy our own Capitol building.
That's our building.
And you know what? Those same fucking people were breaking that window out. Were bitching at people in Portland trying to burn down the fucking courthouse.
That's my problem with it right there. Stand by your goddamn convictions.
Right.
And if you think
it's never okay, if you want to stand out there with your flag and protest and whatever.
And I don't even care what flag it is.
Right.
You know what? And you can march down, I'm a Christian, but you want to march down the street with some upside down cross and, go ahead. I don't give a shit. But just don't burn the fucking city down. That's
our capital, regardless of how you felt about the election or who was inside. Right. That's not the way to handle it.
Like I was pretty wound up. I felt like there was a lot of cheating going on, and you could see it, but I mean, some of it was hyped, and like you are usually my what do you call the little voice in my head saying, "Hey, hold on for a second, let this all come out." And people are kind of hyping this and fear mongering it. And was there a bunch of that? Sure, hell yes, there was. There's a doctor that I used to watch on YouTube all the time, who's a staunch Trump supporter. And, he was feeling the shit out of this, and, don't worry, 4 days, 4 days, and you'll see what's going to happen, and Trump's going to be back in there. And then 4 days come and go, 2 weeks. The truth's coming out. There's a plan. There's lawyers involved. And I kind of watched that for a little bit. And then every time it was the same shit. And I deleted them. I don't even watch them anymore. I can't bear it because it was clickbait. That's all the fuck it was clickbait, just like maybe I believe he sincerely wanted Trump back in there. I think he was a serious, but like you said, how much damage are you doing to your own cause? Now, I'm not saying let someone come in your house and attack your kids and
no, that's
not
not
fight
what
back.
I'm talking about. That's
right. I want to be very careful
that
that's not, we're not pacifists, but measured response. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to go and protest something, then walk down the street and protest it.
How many of these people out there that complained about the election being stolen went and talked to friends, family, and neighbors, walked around the community and talked about voting in the next election?
Right. What did you do to...
all that energy and time you put into that,
trying to get people to, burn shit.
Right. What you would do more good by going out and talking with people about...
It's my Bigfoot koozie. That was a gift. I love it.
About the next election, you know.
Agreed.
And, hey, obviously we need to get more people to vote. We need to understand the issues and the topics and, what's important here.
Because the liberals do that right, man. They can turn out a lot of people. Now, granted, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and fucking Goofy, and lots of dead people vote in every election, and they always vote left. I admit, but they do have... they're powerful. They really motivate people to get out there and vote. They used Trump against himself beautifully. I mean, they used him as the lightning rod to just fire up their base and get their people out there voting. And a lot of people for Trump, you know what? If you were a Trump supporter and he lost, it's your fucking fault, because a lot of people stayed home because they were convinced he was going to win anyways. There's no way goofy fucking Biden could ever beat him. And, you left the election so goddamn close that if there was cheating, maybe it was enough to matter. I don't know. But you could have overwhelmed it so that if there was any cheating, it still wouldn't have been enough to push Biden over the top anyways. And I think a lot of conservatives they stayed home. They're like, he's going to win. This is no contest. And look at what happened. So vote. Regardless of who you're voting for, just go and vote, man. It matters. I think still, at this point, I think it does. I
think you should inform yourself. Yeah. You should read through, what you're voting
and
for.
Especially do a little research. Shit,
and I'm not saying
propositions.
And I'm not saying your normal media sources either. I mean, go online and read what these people are about. Right? Watch some videos of them talking. Yeah, because not a commercial on TV from their opponent saying what they're about.
Right. Because we know how you can take, 4 seconds of video and make it sound like something completely different, taking it out of context.
And I told you about that. I saw a video for a local politician here in our state. And the way it was clipped, I'm like, So I went on YouTube, and it took, it took 5 minutes on YouTube, me searching this person to find the right video that they had clipped, and I watched the whole video.
Right.
and it was definitely clipped to make it look a certain way.
Yep.
And it's not that they didn't say those words. I'm not saying they didn't put words in their mouth. They didn't change audio. But by clipping it the way they did, it can make it seem a certain way. But when you when you listen to the whole thing, you're like, oh, okay. Yep. It took 5 minutes.
And now with, even look at an 18-year-old sitting at home with a desktop can do a really good deep fake video nowadays. It's getting hard with digital media to tell sometimes what's actually real and authentic and what's not.
Oh, no doubt.
I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were talking about the threat of deep fake videos and how you could create really easily nowadays. You can create, and most people can do this at home if they're just some basic literacy and technology. So a little grainy video of like someone like DeSantis saying something that is not so far out of the realm that you would automatically think, oh yeah, this is bullshit, but just enough of like they were using what if he said something about the COVID and said yeah we it's bad. We can't completely stop it. I mean, some people are going to die. What do you want me to do about it? I don't have time for this right now. I got other shit going on. Just enough to just make them look uncaring and bad. Little grainy video, so it looks like it was taken from a cell phone. Like, you could create that so easy. And even though later on it'll be proven fake and someone might even get fined for it, you drop that a week before an election and you know what you can influence the outcome really easy. So it's I my advice, don't believe anything anymore. That even I used to think, hey, if you got it on video, like, all right. I don't even, you can't believe anything now. Like you said, dig into it. Dig into it and see if it's real, because there's a lot of fake shit out there right now.
I will say this about, and this is a while ago. This is over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 2008, 2010, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was listening to Glenn Beck
Mm-hmm.
on the radio back then, and I remember him saying, and I'm not a big fan,
Right.
right? I'm not a big fan, but I happened to hear him say one time on the radio, this is early social media, so people are starting to use filters. And I remember him saying, mark my words, he said, one day you're not going to be able to distinguish what's real and what's not.
Right.
They're going to be able to put you in a photo or a video someplace saying something
that you
weren't.
Yep.
And I
And
said that was somewhere between 10, 15 years ago. And
now that guy's a genius.
And
man.
now you're starting to see it. Now, granted, there is
the
throwing shit at the wall, right?
Sure.
He's throwing enough
but
shit.
He's been right about a lot of shit.
Right.
I mean, Alex Jones throws a lot of shit at the wall, right? But he got a lot of things.
The problem with Alex Jones is he is right about a lot of shit, but he just goes so far and so hard and makes it so ridiculous. It's like he just come out and say, and I understand it's probably how his mind works.
Right.
I get it. Like, we all don't think the same. We don't all talk the same. That'd be a very boring world. But he's a lot like Trump in that aspect, right? He gets in his own way, right?
Yeah, he gets.
It's like if you just say, hey guys, you don't have to sensationalize it. You don't have to put all this extra spin on it. Like, this is what's happening, right?
Right.
And I think people,
maybe
and then
he really believes that Biden walks in and out of portals, and that the U.S. is being controlled and influenced by aliens. Maybe he really believes that shit.
I'm talking about the things he was right about.
Right.
But when you're listening to it a year or two, 5 years before it actually comes out, he just goes so hard on it, and he doesn't just come up, turning the frogs gay, he just goes so far and so hard with it, people just dismiss it.
Well, it's easy to say, oh, that guy's crazy, don't listen to discredit him really easily, Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Trump was like that too, It was easy to discredit him, even though later on it came out that he was right about a lot of shit too. So, I think Glenn Beck, I agree. Some of these tycoons, look, they're making money. Bill O'Reilly, they're out. They're capitalists, no doubt. They're selling gold and survival buckets or whatever.
Right.
They're selling, but they do drop good information also, and they are putting out good data, even though they're trying to sell you some gold or silver. And this is where me and you tend to kind of bifurcate a little bit, because I still kind of stay plugged in with all those guys a little more, where I think, to me, it seems like, and I can see clearly that, okay, here comes I can almost call it where the commercial is going to start, and they're going to start to try to sell you gold, or Glenn Beck lately's been beef. I think he's getting into cattle farming. He's going to make money on this.
And I don't have a problem with anybody making money. It's just, don't start telling me about grain prices and hay prices and how the farmers in Montana are struggling to get hay and they're selling off their cattle, and then lead into a beef commercial for your
Omaha Steaks,
right? Like,
or whatever it is.
Like,
but, yeah,
do your commercial, but don't tell me a doom and gloom story, right? That you could that's going to associate with the commercial you're going to come up with.
It's disingenuous, I mean, it's to maximize their sales, right? If they fearmonger before,
go ahead.
They fearmonger before, and then they drop the infomercial. You're more amped.
But like, if you listen to like Lex Friedman's podcast, which I follow him very closely, he's to the point now. He just says, please support this channel, my efforts, by clicking on one of the sponsors in the link description below.
I like that.
Here we go.
I like that.
Here we go. You didn't even hear
honorable.
And then it's just.
But
his last podcast was 8 hours long.
Yeah.
And no commercial. You just get to listen to it. And if that wasn't profitable, he would have to start.
He wouldn't be
somehow it's still profitable enough that he's not putting commercials in there. He's not doing 5 minutes commercials at the beginning.
I agree. I like how
you're telling me that back isn't big enough.
And I fast forward.
I'm at work though.
Shit.
I can't be taking my phone out every 20 minutes and going through the commercials.
In your situation, it's a little different. So. And I don't want to listen to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I already know, like, the economy sucks, inflation's here, gold's a good place to. It usually throughout history has been a good place to put some money in. And I don't need you trying to sell the shit to me. Not to mention I think where Glenn Beck fucks up really bad is a lot of these people who are watching your shit are lower income people. They don't have the money to buy a bunch of fucking gold like you did, or you're telling them to buy a survival. This is one problem I have with it. That I think if you were really not a prepper, but just someone that likes to be prepared, that prepared mindset, you want to sell them a bucket that's for 3 people for 2 weeks worth of food for $89.99. Why not tell them, hey, here's an idea. The buckets are $5 a piece at Walmart with a lid, and why don't you go to Family Dollar and buy some rice and some beans, and you could probably put that bucket together for under half the price of that. Mm-hmm. If you were truly trying to prepare these people and help them, right?
You could probably put that bucket together for about $10.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
I know price of the stuff is going up, but I bet.
I know under half of what they're charging for this shit for sure.
Yeah.
You could and probably feed 4 people for more than 2 weeks. You could build a better bucket yourself. So maybe we'll do a video on that one day. Kind of an idea of, hey,
maybe encourage people to learn how to can, because what happens when that bucket runs out?
Or that, right? Because
great, my bucket's empty now. What?
And I love Tim Pool, like a huge fan. I think he does a lot more good than he does harm for culture and society, and even though we disagree on some stuff, I respect him a lot. I have a tremendous amount of respect because I think he's authentic. He does change his mind sometimes, but I like that. Okay. I want to see your mind fucking evolve. Like, listen to it, debate it, and then think. That shows you're thinking about it, right? When you kind of change your mind. I'm not one of these people that said, hey, when you were 12, you said this, and now you're 44, and you're bullshit. No, come on, man. People evolve their way of thinking, and that's a good thing. But even he has talked about buckets and having some aside, and he's got 30 employees, and they have, he started rattling off the buckets, and I'm doing the math in my head going, yeah, that's awesome. Like, you spent that much money for 2 weeks worth of food for.
Well, understand, he probably. And I don't know.
And he may have more than what he's saying.
No, understand. Right? This is just my opinion. Right. I don't know any facts. But I'm sure he got a discount considering that's his sponsor.
Probably.
On the purchase.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would have to guess. I don't know. Think. Just opinion here.
I would think that, or you probably wouldn't want to sell them if they weren't going to, if you were going to buy 30 days worth of food for 30 people, you'd want a discount. I would. But even then, I thought, well, I mean, had you just went to the store with you and Ian and a couple of the guys, get Luke out there, hey, we're going to make a run to a couple different grocery stores, you probably could have put a lot more food away. But I think in the beginning, he didn't know how.
Yeah.
Right. But I think now he's advanced through this enough. Like he's intelligent.
Yeah, I'm
Smart.
assuming, and even Ian, right? You hear him like he ordered, 400 gallons of vinegar, and shit, like
right.
like
yeah, get that apple cider vinegar.
Right, whatever,
it's good stuff,
like obviously,
yeah.
Which you were talking about people. Did you listen? Have you heard anything about the Kanye West Lex Friedman interview?
A little bit.
I listened to the whole thing the other day.
I did not.
I listened to the whole thing, top to bottom.
So I'm not an expert in it.
I'm not. I'm not an expert in shit. But I think that's the way to handle bad information, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I didn't hear the interview because I think it's been taken down now. His original, Kanye's original, not with Lex, but I'm saying the interview that led to the trouble.
That led to it.
Right.
Yep. I couldn't.
The anti-Semitism, right? Where he was talking about Jewish people screwing him over and stuff, right?
Right.
I think that's gone. I heard that like some people had reposted it. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't take the time. I didn't take the time to find it. But I think the way Lex Friedman handled it is the way all this speech should be handled.
Sure.
Canceling him doesn't do anything. What happened was Lex sat down with him and he told him why he was not right and why what he was saying was wrong. And at the end he was like, "You're right. I am wrong. And I apologize. I apologize to people out there I've hurt. I didn't realize saying it this way." Even though he doubled down, or like in the podcast, he was like, "Yeah, this person did this to me." And obviously, he's had struggles in life, no different than anybody else. And I'm not defending what he said. I'm not defending what he said. It was wrong.
Yeah.
But because he sat down with someone that could articulate to him why he was wrong. And that's why free speech is so important. If someone's saying something wrong, you need to get them across from somebody that can articulate and clearly express why their opinions are wrong and help them see it differently.
Because and with opinions, when you're not talking about facts, because facts can be right or wrong, right? That facts are black and white. Opinions are gray. Like, are you ever wrong? Like, I can say I don't like your opinion, but can I say that you're technically wrong for having it?
What I'm saying is just canceling him off Twitter and across all the it doesn't do anything.
No, if anything, it martyred him, right? And it polarized people. This divide that we have now, obviously, you can't deny it. This country's we're in trouble. It definitely deepened that divide, right? Because there were people now that probably wouldn't have agreed with what he said, but they jumped in support. They jumped in behind him because of him being canceled off, right? Yeah, I like what you said. Bring him in and try to persuade him, or not even that.
Just have that conversation. Say, hey, this is why what you're saying is dangerous and wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. With what you're saying is
dangerous. It took hours, right? But eventually he saw, oh, okay, I see why.
I see your point.
Right.
How this was taken.
Right, and how this could be used against a certain population by me saying it in this manner could, maybe cause violence towards certain people.
And we know it can.
Or
especially with that group of people. Because, I mean, that's how it started last time. It was just, some whispers of some shit that wasn't
why
true.
I don't understand why people are just so quick to just cancel people because I heard something they didn't like. Debate that person.
Yeah.
Sit down with them and say, hey, this is why. Just like they did in that interview.
Yep.
Imagine how much more we could get done.
Oh, man.
As a society. And this is where I wish we had a Patreon, because I believe there are people that don't want that to happen.
Right.
They want to deepen that divide.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot of profit in it. I'm going to try a quote. I'm going to screw it up a little bit, so it's not going to be an exact quote, but it was something that I seen, and it kind of blew my mind. And it was, basically it says, when the power of love outweighs the love of power, you'll have peace. Jimi Hendrix, baby. Boom.
Say that again.
Wow.
When the power of love.
When the power of love outweighs the love of power, you will have peace.
Oof. It's a good quote.
Oh man, it was beautiful. God, it gives me goosebumps. I love it. I thought, wow, is that not 100%? Like it.
Yeah.
That's the truth, baby, right there. Like that's where we're at. Like the power, man. It's power's corruptive. It corrupts people, and
There's this intellectual I listen to also, and I'm not going to name him here, but I might end up sending him a message on Twitter. But I used to listen to him because he made me think about, he talked about the brain and thoughts and personalities and consciousness, just all this really deep shit, deep dive into it.
I love it.
I hadn't listened to him in a while, and then I listened to him the other day, and he's like a war hawk. Yeah. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Like he's doing this podcast about why Putin's wrong and why Ukraine's right. And I'm like,
wow.
Are your kids of draft age?
Yep.
I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing right now is doubling down and trying to somehow I'm fishing for a word here. Like make this
fueling it,
right, like
instigate it, ensuring it, I guess is the way, like to get
almost promoting this as a good thing, that our involvement in here because it's wrong what Putin did, and it's like
nation building in Iraq. We're gonna give these people freedom.
My kids are of draft age, okay?
Exactly. Mine too.
I'm not sending my kids off to fight
to get
because of these politicians' egos.
Oh God!
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know who's. I don't know. I don't care who's right or who's wrong. The whole thing's wrong. Okay. Yeah. The whole thing is wrong.
I don't want Russians.
I don't give a shit. I don't want my kids there.
No, it's not a good reason for me to be okay with my child going over there and getting blown up.
No.
So that your fucking kids don't have to, and you can make all this money in the stock options that, you had purchased
and you can,
6 months before the war started.
I don't even care about that. The fact that you can stand up on your soapbox and declare that you did this, you defeated this. I don't fucking care. I don't care. I'm tired of war.
Right.
I've lived over half of my life in war.
Been at war now.
And I'm fucking sick of it.
Yeah, me too. It's old. But I think it's important to know why, where, like when I want to show the world, follow the money, see, because when you understand how these happen, then you're a little more powerful to try to avoid them and prevent them. When you can really understand, like we weren't over there, and I'm not talking about the average soldier. He was doing his job, and most of them doing it valiantly and honorably, and they really believe in their heart they're protecting the homeland and doing what's best for America. But there are pricks out there that's telling the world that we're giving these people peace, and that's what they want, when it really wasn't about that. It was about stock and Halliburton, and look at Dick Cheney. There was a lot of dirty shit that happened in there, and it was about money. It wasn't about oil. We never took the fucking oil. It was about money. It was about, trading your currency, that, if you're buying oil, you're buying it with American dollars. It was about power in the world. And that's all it was about. And that's what all wars in the end, that's what they're fought for. Power. I don't.
And just like this one, I feel bad for both people on both sides, because they don't have any choice in it.
No.
The people in Ukraine that told, if you're between 18 and whatever, 60, you have to stay.
Yeah.
And the people in Russia don't have any choice. They're being told, you're being drafted. Right. Here's a gun. You have to go
what
fight.
Happens here.
It's.
Mm-hmm. And everyone is blowing up.
I feel bad
for
the people, because they don't have any choice in this bullshit.
For a handful of dickheads in the world that want this war. You know what I mean?
Sick of this shit.
And you can look at it. You talk to, and I know they make it look so. If you look through social media, everybody is for this Ukrainian war, but really, in reality, they're not. If they knew the truth, if they knew that their kids, there's a probability that within 6 months your kid's going to get drafted and sent over there, you would watch the average person change their mind about this war really fast. And I think, in the end, I said it a long time ago, many podcasts ago. Show me the Ukraine on a fucking map. Can you find it? No, because I'll tell you what, I'm pretty well read and versed in shit, and even I struggle sometimes finding some of these places on a map. So why do you give a shit? Because you're told by Facebook and by Instagram
I care about the people. I care about the people. I feel bad for the people.
But how many people died because we got involved in this? Had we just let Russia walk in and take off the chunk that they said was theirs anyways, there would have been a little death and destruction for a day or two. We prop this shit up to keep the war going. We're feeding the machine. We're convincing these Ukrainian people that they really have a chance to win this war. We're promoting them to fight back and for them to die and get killed. And it's our own goddamn fault because you know what? Someone's getting paid for all this ammo we're sending there, all the rifles and weapons we're sending over there, all this advanced technology that we're giving them to help them fight back against the Russians. Like, we're making this way worse, and it's to keep it going. So I don't want any war in the world at all.
And there is a conflict there, right, too, because had we not got help here, our own independence wouldn't exist either, probably, right?
Right. Yeah.
And there is that conflict there.
Yep.
Right.
When people asking for help, should you help them?
Right.
We're
it's
kind of a Christian nation, or at least was based on.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with the help part. I don't want our children getting there involved in this.
I have a problem with the help when you know that before you even help that you're not gonna.
But if people want to stand up and fight, I don't have if they go, hey, this is my country, I want to stand up and fight, but I need some resources because we don't have resources here to do it. I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Okay. I think you kind of misunderstood what I'm saying, because like if we're gonna help them, then let's help them. If you're going to help those people, why are you helping them? You're helping them so that they can win, so that they can push back and avoid this.
Well, maybe
or
not.
Are you just helping so that we can get more kids blown up?
No.
So I'm saying don't half-heartedly do it like we're going to send you enough to keep this going for a year or two while these pricks over here are getting rich on it. But we're not really going to commit enough to really make a difference other than just get more people blown up,
But I'm saying
So put boots on the ground. Let's send some Americans in there, kick ass, push some fucking Russians back over the border, and say, if you step a foot over here, we're going to kick your ass, and this war would be done. But instead of...
Or it could escalate to the point
it could, and that's the problem with jumping in and helping people.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they just wanted... They're like, look, this is our war, we just need some resources, we need some guns, we need this and that. We want to fight our own war. This is our problem. Like I said, I don't have that problem. I don't have a problem with that kind of help. Okay, we're going to loan them some money over the next 50 years. They're going to pay us this money back.
Right.
But if it's going to escalate it to the point of nuclear war or the men and women in this country having to go over there and fight, that's where I have a problem.
We could have stopped this war. We could have ended this war within a couple of weeks.
Maybe.
I don't believe, and look, it's all propaganda. Who knows? You know what? Putin's telling Russians that they're the greatest military might in the world, that they can kick America's ass. We're evil. We're the great Satan. So I'm sure there are people believe that. I do believe in the American Armed Forces, that we're the most badass motherfuckers that there's ever been in this world so far. I think we're getting weakened for sure, but I think we could have kicked some serious ass in there for a couple of weeks and probably shut this war down. I think it's in the benefit of a handful of people that this war goes on and lingers on for years and years. This is the next Afghanistan, man. This is the next Iraq. 10 years from now, we're still going to be sending them money. And we debated this before, and you said, like, they owe us that money back. Like, they owe us. So you kind of own them, right? Mm-hmm. So are we going to let Russia take it? How are we going to get our money back? How are we going to get any sort of payback from the $72 billion we've sent over there if we're just going to give it to Russia anyway? So you know what? send the fucking military over and finish this. Don't let this linger on. Don't let 30,000 more people get fucking blown up just for Russia to take it anyways. And then we lost our investment. We lost our money. It is because people are getting rich. The longer this drags on, the richer they get. And they're fucking evil, man. They don't care. They'll blow up your kids, my kids, all the Russian kids. They don't give a shit. They just care about those profits. Keep sending rockets over there, because every rocket you send that I can get on the floor of the U.S. Senate or in Congress and wave the Ukrainian flag, and we're standing in solidarity with the Ukraine, and every time we send one rocket over, I'm making $25. Keep sending them. Keep sending them. Don't let this war end, because either you're gonna fucking help them or you're not. And I agree with what you said. If someone asks us for help, can we get some funding? Can we get some ammo and rifles? But that wasn't what the Ukraine asked for. They asked for us to get directly involved right from the beginning, because they didn't have the people. You know what? If Russia sent their whole military in there, they'd overwhelm those soldiers. The population density is way in the favor of Russia. So, we should have just went and stopped it. And now we're escalating it to the point of nuclear, because you've been fucking around, poking the bear to the point where now he's like, all right, I'm getting pissed off. I'm going to nuke some shit. And now I think we're danger close to a nuclear war. Maybe it won't be over American soil, but it's going to hurt America. It's going to hurt everyone in the world. Don't poke the bear, shoot the fucking bear. Shoot the bear. The bear's the problem. Put the bear down. Don't poke it, because you're going to get your ass bit. That's the way I see it.
Again, I'm not an expert in anything. I
right.
have no idea.
Me either. Please, I'm not giving any expert military advice. I've never served. I don't know. It's just the way I see it.
I don't know what this looks like in the end, and that's what scares the hell out of me.
It is scary.
Is not knowing where this all goes, and nobody's going to know until it is over.
Until it's done, unfortunately. Yeah. I agree with you. And we agree on more of this than we don't. I'm passionate like you are, because I don't want our kids getting blown up. I don't want Ukrainian kids getting blown up. I've seen the videos. The city's all in fucking ruin, and people fleeing out of there, and everybody's hungry and fucking dirty, and come on, man, this world should have evolved past this. Right? And this is still, humans suck, And
I think it's because enough people don't talk. Like you said, power.
Yeah.
Power corrupts.
Yep. And you get on Facebook and it looks like everybody's about this war. Everybody's got the little, Ukrainian border around their profile picture, and it's just brainwashing us to stay engaged in this, and we shouldn't be. If you're gonna do a war,
I feel bad for the people on both sides, because they do not have a choice.
Right.
Zero choice.
They don't. You've seen them. They lined them up, said, "You're not leaving. Here's your rifle." These are people. They have no fucking training, right? Like, you're giving them a week's worth of training. It was like that guy that posted, some selfies on social media, and the Russians zeroed in right away and triangulated their position, and then fucking bombed the building and killed them all. Like, he didn't know.
And I'm sure, again, there's got to be a certain percentage that was like, "Where's my gun? This is my country. Sure. Nobody's taking it."
We wouldn't let anyone walk into this country. We would jump in right next to the military and the militia and PD and the fire department and line up and say, "Whoa, this America, son, you fucked up coming to this shore." Sure, we would. But and
there's a certain amount that would want to flee to Canada and whatever, right?
Right. Yeah, agreed.
So I don't see it as any different. They didn't have a choice in what their government did or what Russia's government did or what led to this. They had zero choice now. All they know is that's their home, their grandparents.
A handful of assholes that just fuck the world up. And you can see it every time there's, one of their big powwows of, one of their G this, G that summit. And you can see the same assholes on stage talking about the same shit, eating their fancy fucking dinners. While the people that's going over there to get blown up's eating hot dogs and mac and cheese. I hate the machine. It's bullshit. You vote for a war, then, your kids should have to fight in it too. There should be no exemptions, no favors, no, hey, he's going to get drafted, but, he's
Even
going to
so,
be over
even
here,
so, it's still not.
controlling a drone. Like, he's not going to see any, real danger. Like, bullshit, man.
Even so, I feel bad for their kids if they had to
Sure.
go. I don't want anybody's
I don't
kids.
want any.
Like you said, you think at this point, with all the technology we have, the ability to be able to communicate instantly, not send a letter that takes 4 months to get to somebody.
Horse carrier,
right?
Like
Communication is instant now.
Like you could jump on there and talk to a Russian over there right now and say, hey man, like I don't have a beef with you on a personal level. Like what I was joking around on one of the podcasts, like, would Russia ever do wrong to me? Like, I like vodka, right? Like, why are we fighting? Like, and I think average people around the world feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think it always comes down to it's just the machine, man.
Because we know there's people protesting in Russia, right?
Absolutely. They don't want to get their ass nuked.
Right.
They're as afraid of a nuclear war as we are. We got a lot of nuclear bombs too. They got more, no doubt, but we have enough that we could annihilate the Earth. Between them and us, no one would win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear winter, humanity would starve to death. We'd become almost extinct within a year. They don't want that. Neither do we. But there are some crazy fucking people who don't care. Is Putin one of them? I don't know. Was Hitler one of them? Maybe. Napoleon, like you go back, it's always the same, man. It's a handful of bureaucratic fat fucks that, and I don't mean waist size. I mean just fat and happy, living large, feeding the machine, to keep that money coming in, and it just sickens me. I want more term limits. I want more transparency. I want more honesty. I get it that if I was in office long enough, it would corrupt me. It just, we haven't evolved past this. And I think part of it is, technology wise, we jumped 1,000 years in evolution in 25, 50 years. Let's say 50 years, 100 years. The last 100 years, we evolved from, a steam engine to rockets and, going to space, satellites floating all over the place. But our DNA hasn't evolved yet. We haven't caught up to that yet. We jumped so far into the future so fast that, we're still
tribal.
Yeah, we're still the cave dwelling. Like we talked about in the last podcast about, this dating apps and like the guys with their fish. And I said, to try to show off that we can feed you, like in our DNA, we're still kind of, we just haven't evolved past it yet. And I maybe we jumped too far too fast and we're just fumble fucking our way through it. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, we kind of see that with social media too, right? Like this new way to communicate, we just haven't evolved at the speed of the communication.
No,
like
it's way out. And that scares me because, like I'm whatever. I'm a rabbit hole person, man, and I like sci-fi and I love movies, and like there's some movies that I think, we've seen this in movies and it didn't work out very good for mankind, but you watch Matrix or Terminator, or, when Skynet becomes self-aware, who's the real enemy of robots or technology? It was humans having the control of the switch. So, we wanna get rid of these humans. For one, they're all about war and like bad for the earth. And what happens when AI says, the biggest threat to the planet is humans? Let's get rid of them.
See, but
that's scary shit, man.
That would mean, but the thing is, so that would mean, well, I guess that would. I'm kind of working this out on the fly here. Like, because as we're building AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're building it in our image.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything we're putting into it is what we know.
Mm-hmm.
So that means
when it becomes self-aware,
we would build in our own tendencies to it to make. Because why would it think that humans?
But you don't think that AI could get to the point where it can evolve itself? right? Because right now they have AI that there's like no human on Earth that can beat it in chess. We programmed it in our image.
Right.
At least some humans should be able to beat it in chess, and nothing can. Like, it's impossible to defeat this artificial intelligence in chess because it evolves.
I don't know that it evolves. I think its computing capacity is just
surpasses
ours.
So
but
how do we know whether or not? Because look, we were created in God's image.
Right.
We don't behave well. So I don't know. To me, it's just scary to be able to give so much power of our life into something that has no feelings at all, no empathy, no compassion. It's just data, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is it would have to have a desire to want to save the planet for it to see us as a threat. So why would it harness would it harness desire? Because desire is a very human trait.
Because we're already creating programs that are supposed to help us with the environment, right? Help us with climate change or whatever. And these forecast models that we create, and you don't think at some point these things get smart enough that they're giving us the data, right? Because we created this program years ago that helps us understand, like, if we don't change this is going to be the outcome. That eventually the machine's just like, maybe we're just better off without people. At some point, when in Star Wars, there's like, C-3PO, robots building robots, like, oh my God.
I understand that. Machines, and that'd be very useful to have them build other. I understand that because there's no doubt in my mind that eventually machines would do the work of humans, right?
But then what's the purpose of the human?
For us to pursue our own interest and passions without having to build computers and assemble chairs and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now we can pursue our own passions and desires.
Sure, so we're all going to be artists and poets and fat and,
well,
machines do
not
all
necessarily.
The work.
I mean, maybe somebody really enjoys building one-off handmade desks.
Right. Yeah.
But they can only do this for a couple hours on a Saturday because they have a job, they have a family, they have all these obligations, so they can. But now, if this guy or gal can just enjoy the time when they want to, they can go out and get their cup of coffee, go out in the garage, in the shop in the morning, and they can just build these beautiful one-off desks. And
life would be wonderful.
Now we can purchase it for our studio here, because we enjoy doing this.
Right.
Imagine if we could do this 5 days a week, and then the other 2 we can go. Hunting
if
and
people
fishing.
Get that thumbs up, we would be.
Right? But you see where that starts rolling. Believe it or not, there's people that love cutting grass.
Yeah.
That's their passion. They just
they love lawn care. Get those straight lines.
Right. And they get into this geeked out science of fertilizers and nutrients and all this shit and the different species, and that's their desire. But they get to spend one Saturday on it and a couple hours a week doing some research because they have, again, job, mortgage, family, all these, holiday obligations. So they can't really pursue this passion of grass, whatever your thing is, whatever your it is.
Whatever your art is.
It doesn't mean we're just going to sit around eating Cheetos
but
watching
what happens
YouTube.
when the machines can roll up to the neighbors and just do it better than you?
That's fine. I still think there's going to be people that have. There's people that can shoot archery better than me, but I still have the passion to go out there and master the flight of the arrow.
You got to be careful too.
It wouldn't matter that a robot could do it better standing next to me. I still want to.
I think when you make humanity like obsolete,
it's not making us obsolete. It's giving us time to pursue our passions,
and
without being bound to the machine. Right. Another cog.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
I agree.
The owner of the business you work for, I work for, gets to pursue their passions because they're not tied to this structure of 9 to 5,
golfing,
5 days,
Oh yeah, they're playing golf.
And I'm not
eating at nice restaurants.
I'm not disparaging them either.
Going on vacation. I don't get to go on vacation around the world.
I'm not disparaging them. They put in the hard work to create that business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if all of us had that time.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I just think it's,
I'm not saying it will go that
I
way.
watched
You're
a
right.
lot of sci-fi
Yeah.
movies, so me, I'm a little bit paranoid about the machine.
Maybe I'll be in the
Like,
middle of that pile that the
right?
fucking robot just chucked down there.
Yeah, throws in and
Like,
steals your heat as
yeah.
energy, and you're just a human battery now.
I still think they'd
Yeah,
find a more efficient way though.
yeah.
If they could build a pod to harness my energy, wouldn't they just like tap into the middle of the earth for the heat and get the
You
same?
would
You
think,
know what I'm saying?
thermal heat,
Something,
like, right?
something.
Unless the AI wasn't that smart, you know, couldn't figure that one out. Or solar, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's a lot of heat. Put panels in space
yeah,
where it's not having to. You're not dissipating so much heat through the atmosphere, right? It's just straight on,
yeah.
you know.
Something.
Um, yeah, or harness the radiation somehow. I don't know. There's the sky's the limit. Who knows? 100 years from now, what? I know that life changed a lot with technology. We just watched a rock video, and
Yeah,
the nostalgia of it was beautiful,
yeah.
and it showed like what life was like 25 years ago, 30
Oh,
years ago
that
was
was
so different
yeah.
compared to
That
what
was
it is
almost
now.
40 years ago.
Or 40,
Yeah, that was almost
some of it.
40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of that stuff was
yeah,
40 years ago. Um, it was beautiful, right? Like it just made that
yeah,
warm, fuzzy, nostalgic. Oh my God, I remember this. I remember
yeah.
that. But then you look at what we have now, how far it's changed in under 50 years. I can't even imagine. Like it's going to build momentum. The further it goes, the faster it's going to grow. 100 years from now,
Mm.
oh my God, life is going to be crazy different. I think.
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe
Just
that.
as different as it
Yeah.
was from 100 years ago, and
Right.
how much different it was for 100 years
Yeah.
before that.
And I think it's going to
Can you
grow
imagine? Just
faster.
think about 1822 to 1922.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you think for 1,000 years, like people had, or even longer than 1,000 years, because like information to get information from one place to another, in Greece they used runners. That's why they have these marathons, right? That's
Yeah,
where marathon running came from.
right.
Was from
Yeah,
Greece. In America, we used the Pony Express. We rode horses. So Mongols used, a horseback rider on a stubby-legged horse. Like, go, we need, this is what's going on in the battle. Get this back to whoever needs this information. So for thousands of years, the information going back and forth never really changed. It was almost exactly the same. And then in 100 years, man, that's crazy when you think of it that way. That for so long, for thousands of years, it was just almost identical to this little sliver in the chain of time. This little sliver right there, and it just exploded. So I have to think 50 years from now, the difference from now to then would be bigger than what the difference was from then way back, right? It'll
right,
be that
right,
big of a
right.
difference, I think. Yeah,
Think, think,
exciting,
think about how revolutionary the telegraph was.
right?
Like,
How that changed
wait, we
everything.
can just communicate from,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow. Crazy. The railroad, like just these breakthroughs that just they shotgun life into this direction that we're at right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
just and then you think like our grandparents, I would assume, again, this is in real time here, so
Yeah.
be patient. But our grandparents, do you think there's still a switchboard operator for a phone?
Right.
Was there? I
Wow.
don't know
I would think in their lifetime,
somewhere.
probably
Yeah,
in their early years. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know exactly when. And then to where you could just pick up a phone and
Yeah,
it just
just
made you just dialed a
wow.
number and it made the connection. You didn't
Yeah,
have to ask somebody to.
the switchboard operator to
Right,
put you through to.
right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
crazy.
To
And it kind of made me think of that when you brought up canning earlier. You
uh,
said something about canning, and I thought, wow, how many people don't even know how to can now? But yet, 25 years ago, everybody canned. I
ooh, I,
I remember mom and my grandma canning tomatoes like every fall. They get together and can all this shit. I remember all the neighbors, at least where I grew up.
Yeah, for me,
25 years
it was
ago.
about 30. Yeah, 30
Yeah.
years ago, my mom was still
Yep.
canning with her mom.
Yeah, you know, and they make homemade bread and just this stuff. Like,
Mhm.
man, it's just
We had that conversation
lost that knowledge.
around the table this morning when we were having coffee with our daughter, and I was telling her about LDS, the Latter-day Saints, still have canneries where you can take the vegetables out of your garden and your jars in there, and they'll show you how to do it. And she was like, daughter didn't know anything about that. She was like, what?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, there's LDS.
Yep.
Yeah, I said they'll teach people how to can still.
It was neat because I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were telling the story about this woman that had CDs and physical media, music, and the daughter was bitching, when are you going to get rid of all these CDs? And the mom's like, I'm not. She's like, why? I can listen. I can bring up anything on my phone faster than you could load that anyways. And the mom was trying to first started to explain, look, when they did this with vinyl, I got rid of all my vinyl because, it's obsolete. CDs are the thing. But, vinyl never really truly went away. And now, had I had all them records that I did then, they'd be worth so much money. So it was kind of like that, look, old trends always come back around, right? Bell bottoms, the mullet. Didn't we just hear the mullet's making a comeback? So CDs will too. But then she made the best point of there are bands and music here that I wouldn't even remember the names of some of these to plug into the phone to pull their music up without being able to physically go through my CDs and go, oh yeah, and I thought, wow, you know what? That's true because I did that. I got rid of the CDs. I went digital music. How much more music? I forgot more music than I listened to, right? How many more bands would I have if I could have just physically, and the pleasure of going through them, surfing through your CDs, looking for, oh yeah, man, I haven't heard this in a long time. I forgot about that.
For me, it's more about the nostalgia. Yeah. I went to a tattoo artist. I haven't been to this guy in a while.
Yeah.
It was quite a few years ago. But his work area, wasn't much bigger than this studio here. It's a private room. The door was open, but it's a private room, which I do like better than just the
being out in the
open where everybody's. I like that intimacy. I like that. Because you know what?
You could just have a
dude, he played all 90s rap.
Yeah.
This big Mexican guy.
Yeah.
And he had an original NWA cassette up on this shelf. And I thought that is so fucking cool.
That is awesome.
And for me, that's more where I wish I would have.
Yeah.
Like I remember getting the first Skid Row cassette.
Yes. Yep.
From BMG, I think it was. Yeah. Wasn't that the?
Yeah, I think so.
The send away.
I couldn't I think it was wait BMG. To get to the music store. Like you would know the day that this cassette was going to get released, and boom, be at the store to buy it up right away. I remember Poison was one of them that I ran out the day it was released and bought it. Look what the cat dragged in. Oh, that was some rock and roll. There,
I remember getting the Metallica Ride the Lightning cassette.
Ride the Lightning. Yeah, that was.
I remember the cassette. I remember the art on the cassette.
Yeah. And Guns N' Roses with that cross with the skulls that were all them and skull form. It was just. Man.
So we still have a lot of our CDs. We kept, we have quite a few boxes, and we were able to find one of my old cassettes, and my son has that now. Wow. I think it was a Metallica cassette.
Right.
It was one of them.
God, I wish I had
found.
this stuff.
I'm like, man, it's so. But I mean, I don't have this much. My skateboard decks.
Yeah.
Still breaks my heart, today that I don't have just one of them. I'd love just to have one of those old decks.
Oh, God. Just to have some of that stuff,
Because in the end, I truly think, being around your family and friends and things that remind you of your youth. We see it in here, right? You look around. This is shit from our youth. And you guys can't, if you guys could see this whole room.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's
more.
stuff in here I'm not going to show.
Right.
But if you could see this whole room.
There's a lot more.
Yeah. It's just.
And there's some strong nostalgia.
Yeah, it's definitely.
It's our art. It's kind of
it's a reflection of our youth, of what we grew up with.
Who we are.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely tells the story.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, it's cool. I like our studio a lot.
I want to get something for the back of the wall
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
To go down that just visually,
Yeah.
so when we have a guest here,
Sure.
they can see it.
They can see it.
Yeah. I don't know what
Yeah,
yet,
because
but
like you said, being here, physically being here, you'd see a lot more
oh yeah,
than what you
yeah.
see.
Our last guest, he was like,
Wow.
he was looking around
Yeah.
like this is cool.
Speaking of him, we got to get him back on again. That was
Yeah,
fun. You know.
yeah. I'm hoping he'll loosen up a little
Yeah.
more.
Oh
It's
yeah.
hard. It's hard when you're staring into a camera.
Right.
And for you and I, our first one, it was a little
Clunky.
like,
Maybe.
what do we do
Yeah.
here? What do we do
Yeah.
here? How much do we share?
Right.
But and like we explained to him, we've been doing this for over a decade.
Right.
So the conversation part flows
Easy. It's smooth.
easy. Right.
Yeah.
It was getting used to a camera sitting in your face.
Because this is truly who we are.
Yeah.
This is authentic as hell. I think, yeah, it wasn't even talking in front of the camera that bothered us. I think where we were stumbling a little bit is how much of us do we put out there, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
How much of our opinions do we really? Because some of them can get spicier than what I think this platform would allow.
Yeah.
I
agree. But I think we figured it out.
Yeah, we're starting to.
We're getting to where we, and I'll put my opinion out there, and I risked being wrong, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay to be proven wrong on something if I feel a certain way, and it's because I'll leave. I chew on these conversations for a while and reflect back and think, okay, well, he scored some really good points on that, and maybe I'm not looking at this the right way, or evolve the evolution of my way of thinking. So yeah, I'm not afraid to be wrong.
No.
I'm putting my true feelings out there.
I think I said it in episode 1. There's only a couple things that I'll die on a hill for.
Right.
Everything else I'm open to exploring and figuring out if if I really understand, if I really thought through this. And I got in this conversation with someone just the other day, and I don't even remember where it started, but I was like, it wasn't even about the war, but it was about, I feel bad for anybody in the world that doesn't have the opportunities that we have here. At least the opportunity, whether you take
advantage of it or not.
Right. You grab it with both hands, or you just do the minimum to get by, whatever, right? Yep. But at least to have the opportunity. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I'm compassionate about humanity. Yeah. I want every country in the world to be developed and have industries and have opportunities to own a house and a car.
Sure.
I don't care if you're in Ethiopia, wherever, fill in the blank. I want everybody to at least have the opportunity.
Right.
If you want to live in a little cabin in the woods and
go ahead,
that's all you want to do, and you don't want to go participate in a 9 to 5 and all, cool. But at least you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? To have internet, to have a computer, to be able to sit down and have conversations like this and not be like, oh man, we gotta, everything's just about surviving to tomorrow, because we don't have
a machete and lop your arm off now because of,
and he's like, why? You were born here. Why do you even worry about them? I'm just like,
wow. It's a selfish way of
man, like, and yeah, I
want the world to be a good place, dominated by good people, right? And I think in some ways it technically is, but it's like they're not the ones in power. It's the world is the playground for the evil. I really believe that. I think, unfortunately, when you look back over history, it's just it's the same goddamn story, just retold, right? Like we're in this loop of these people that become our leaders that are just rotten, and the corruption and the cheating, and even I was watching the documentary on Hitler and his rise to power and how he pulled that off, and man, it wasn't as easy as he just stepped into the role one day. Like he manipulated the shit out of events, to get into where he's at. He even spent a little time in jail, before he became the all wise, all knowing of, the German population over there. So there was a lot of parallels. Like, is it Tim Pool that says, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. It's like, yeah, it's not exactly the same, but man, there's some real serious parallels.
Mm-hmm.
So now that the average person has information at their fingertips, if people really started to look back, you could start to see now the warning signs or their plan of how these people, the same kinds of people, keep getting to the top and then dragging us through the same shit over and over and over again. But I wish the world was different and there wasn't wars. And, people just shared shit better. And, I don't know, I heard, earlier, and I'm not in it. I have not researched this. It's just what I initially heard was, I think it's Australia. A third of the country, they're worried about, species becoming extinct and shit like that. So to protect things from becoming extinct, they took a third of the country control of it. Like they own it now, the government. And,
Really?
oh man, that's like, you're gonna own nothing and you're gonna be happy. And that was the thing, the point they made about the daughter with the phone. Like she has no idea. Like, I could just bring it up on my phone. It's easier, it's more convenient, and it just goes into that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. There's something, her mom said, I own this music. It's mine. That shit on your phone, you don't. I mean, yeah, I got audiobooks I bought. I own the subscription too, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
Technically they could, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And I was thinking about that with land, like, because even here there was the argument about the federal government not supposed to own land.
Mm-hmm.
States own the land. The federal government doesn't, and there's all this federal land now, and they're just land grabbing the shit out of areas that are rich in natural resources and things like that. And I was just kind of, my mind just kind of drifting around into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, they're really setting the chess up, the stage of
Maybe,
eat your
but
crickets and
wasn't
go to
it
work.
Roosevelt that set aside these federal lands to protect the wildlife so
Yep.
that it didn't get developed?
And
So we always had these
agreed.
unmolested,
Yep.
pristine.
Yep. So that all people could enjoy
Right.
it, and the path to hell is led by good intentions or paved with good
Yeah.
intentions, isn't it?
Yeah.
The saying. So again,
Because I don't have a problem
I
necessarily
like
with not letting people drill in the middle of Yellowstone for oil or something.
I think if I don't know if you could do it safely and without like
I just
destroying the environment, because like right now we're in an area where wind turbines are. You know what I mean? I gotta look at this shit. And
exactly.
so what if there's an oil rig in a national park somewhere? As long as they're not destroying the park, they're not harming.
But again, though, you were just talking about wealthy people and corruption and money and greed, and it's like they're not going to go in there and spend all this extra money to ensure they don't harm it just for a little bit of profit. They're going to cut corners
but
and
I think there's lots of profit. Yellowstone, especially, I believe the way I understood, it's super rich in natural resources and lots of oil. Alaska was full of oil. Isn't there these areas that are not molested by people? Could they drill for oil in a reasonable way? I think the technology's there now that you could have like well drilling apparatus there that doesn't take away from the environment. You could, I mean, they can make a drill that looks like a fucking tree, right? So you don't really notice it. Doesn't that push what you want, that envelope out further, the innovation out further, the competition to create these new technologies to do that? I mean, wouldn't you rather have everyone around the world paying $1.90 for gas, for a gallon for gas, versus $6 a gallon? Like, how much would that help the people in Ethiopia or around the world? Like, look at the people that's going to freeze to death in Europe right now, and also that we can enjoy a national park, they can't enjoy it.
I think there's enough areas that have oil that we don't have to go into national parks.
I'm not an expert.
Again, I don't think you can trust multinational billion-dollar corporations
Right.
1 minute and not trust them the next
Sure.
minute
Well,
for
I don't
something
trust them
else.
at all. I
Right.
think you'd have to law them to death. Like, if when you drill in these areas, these are the parameters that you have to stay within. Now,
but how do you trust them not to
there's
pay off
corruption between
someone?
them and
Right.
the
How do you
government.
not trust
Right.
them to pay off someone to turn a
Term
blind eye?
limits. Term limits help, right? Because you're not in Washington for 40 years, 60 years, 72 years, creating those relationships with people, right? You're there for 8. And will you get a kickback and a payoff? Probably, but you won't be corrupt to the point of someone like, again, Pelosi, Schumer, these people that have been there forever.
But on the other side of the aisle, there's people that take payoffs, and it's not just one side. It's not like just two people on one side.
The Republicans are just as corrupt as it's the whole damn system's corrupt. But what I'm saying is, if you're rotating them people out early, right? Like, they're gonna make some basic relationships. They're gonna get some kickbacks anyways, but it wouldn't be as corrupt as it is when someone's there for 50 years. Yeah. When you owning an energy company come to me and I'm like, look, I've been here for 25 years. I got another 20 years that you got to fucking deal with me. You're going to pay me what I want before I get up there and I vote yay or nay. Like, we're going to, I want my son on your board of directors, right? That's a lot more. For one, Congress and the Senate can use that intimidation factor a lot more. You wouldn't fear me nearly as bad. You'd be like, well, fuck you. I'll wait a year, and then you're gone anyways. I'll deal with the next guy. I'll take my chances. I just think that it's a lot more corrupt when it's the same people that's always been there. I mean, the government's barely changed in our lifetime.
Right.
The players, right? They're the same exact people. Like, we know their faces, intimate as much as we know our families' faces, because we've grown up with those same people that's just never left. So, you're never going to stop corruption because power corrupts. But I think, you can make it hard, right? I think there's a lot of things that we could do that could benefit the average person. Like, we're sending 62, 72, 82 billion dollars to the Ukraine, and at the same time we're nuking a bill, or not nuking a bill, an executive order to pay off student loans for Americans. It's going to cost a couple $100 million. What? Pay off the fucking loans, man. Help the Americans out a little bit, Granted, I get it. It is a little unfair that someone that makes $150,000 a year is going to get their student loans paid off. And do they really need the help versus someone who makes $36,000 or $42,000 a year? Sure, I get it. But still, if you can take $72 billion and send it to the Ukraine without any sort of outline of how this money's spent, there's no accountability. It just disappears into the system. And you can't spend a couple $100 million on Americans because it's going to raise the taxes up $2,500 a year on the average person. How much is that $80 billion raising our taxes, right? Like, it pisses me off.
I don't have a problem with the student loan forgiveness.
No,
okay,
me either.
Okay, but let's be fair. They took on that debt.
Sure.
Okay. So what do you do for the people that didn't take on that debt? Like my son that went to trade school.
Right.
And he got a job to where, as long as he completes, his company pays for his trade school, right? Sure. But where is his incentive then, or my incentive, because I didn't take any on? I shouldn't say incentive, but where is the compensation for the responsibility?
It does seem a little unfair.
It seems a little lopsided to people
but
that
I think a lot of people were
are
told
paying taxes.
You have to go to college or you cannot survive. They weren't told the truth of, your son's fortunate. He had a good father that said, hey, look, there's alternatives. I did the same thing with my sons. Like, you don't have to go to college to make a living. There's skilled trades. There are some good jobs out there that you could do with and not acquire that much debt. But a lot of people got lied to and they fell for the scam right? And it was a scam. So for them to, come on,
I still think college
I went to
graduates
college,
are higher earners than non-college.
some, but I know I went to college, and I had an ex-wife that went to college, 2 bachelor's degrees, and I remember on the first one that the placement counselor's like, you get a degree in this field, and this is like what you can expect when you graduate. She graduated, and none of that was true. You know what I mean? Like, well, I went to college, and they're making me pay for these classes of just bullshit that has nothing to do with working. Elective courses. So I'm looking for the easiest ones. All right, well, this one's music. I'll learn to play the guitar, right, for a semester. It didn't make me a guitar player. I didn't become a fucking rock star. I had to pay all this extra money for a class I didn't need because college is a business, and they're making money, right? So there is a portion of it that I believe education's good. Push your mind further than you ever thought, but I do believe that college itself was a business, and they lied to a lot of people, and they convinced a huge portion of the population, like, to get degrees. Like, in this state, what the hell do you need a liberal arts degree? What are you going to do for a living with that? But yet the school still offers it, and they still push it. The placement counselor tells you want this.
Well, maybe not. Maybe some people have a passion for art, right? And this is what I'm saying. If you chose that, right, you're like, I'm really passionate about art, so I'm going to take this in college, right? And then you go out in the world and you're like, oh man, I assumed this college debt because I wanted this, I wanted to explore art, and now I can't pay it back, and now I expect someone to pay it back for me. Well, you made that choice knowing that wasn't really gonna.
But you know what? The Ukraine made a choice.
Well,
and we sent billions of dollars over there because of choices that someone else made. I didn't make the choice to fight Russia, right? Some guy that had a snowball's chance in hell of winning that war picked it. So they made choices too that a taxpayer
we can get back to exploring that. I'm just saying.
So I would rather spend it on America.
I don't have I'm not disputing. I have no problem, because you're right. I think some people made the decision not knowing what they were getting into. I don't. How about we stop the interest payments on this shit first?
I like that. Right.
Let's start fixing the problem before we just start handing out money.
Some of these people, I mean, I understand like personal responsibility in this, and I agree with you 100% on that. There's consequences to decisions, and we can't eliminate all the consequences because then we're not learning as people. We're not growing, right? It's trial and error and fail and success that teach us to be better. But a lot of these people that made these decisions they're kids.
I understand.
They're 18 years old.
And I'm not saying don't give them money. I'm saying also give some of the people that did the right thing the money too.
Well, sure.
Kids that graduated high school, high school, went to vocational schools. A lot of these kids paid for trade school out of their pocket because the electrical company they went and worked for isn't going to pay for their electrician's license, right?
Give them a kicker too.
So they're paying out of their pocket $4,000 or $5,000 a year to go to trade school to finish getting their plumbing certificate.
So what if we took the average of what the people had paid for school and their amount of schooling that's being paid off? We calculate the average across the board of what we would spend. And then we give it to the people who graduated high school, went to trade school, things like that. We give them a kick too.
Yeah,
Even with that, it would still be way less than what we spent.
Because I think it's going to create divisiveness and discontent among certain groups because these kids going to trade school that are paying out of pocket are like, what the fuck?
Right. Sure.
I have no problem with you. I don't give a shit. I think vocational schools in college should be free.
Yeah.
I agree. Why is K through 12 free?
Right.
And beyond that, you're on your own.
Right.
No, I know there's grants and scholarships, and I know there is help out there, but why? Why isn't it just free?
Yeah. There's money to be made in it. Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
And some of these people, they're not just getting their school paid for. They're getting the remainder. Like I went to college. I paid a lot of my tuition off. I owe a small balance that there's still a little remainder left that I owe, but it doesn't change all the payments that I made for years leading into it.
I know.
Right? It's not like these people are getting a free pass.
I know.
Some people will because they just acquired that loan a couple years ago, right? So they haven't been paying on it very long, and the biggest portion of it would get paid off in this. But a lot of people, these are, debt that's been around for a long time that they've been paying on, probably put into deferment a few different times when they hit economic hardships. And I don't know. There's got to be a good way. And I agree with you. Let's make it fair. Give incentives to people who did. I would say the right way, but that's probably the wrong language. It's not. It's just their way. I know, like going to trade school versus going to college, because a lot of people went to college and got a degree and they got a good job out of it. My ex-wife didn't go to college. She did some technical training, had a technical certificate, doesn't work in what she had, and worked really hard and worked her way up through the ranks, and has a really respectably good job, working side by side with people who do have the 4-year degrees, the bachelor's degrees in that field. So it's hard. You got to work harder without the degree to create those opportunities to show your talent, right? But if you work hard, that's the one thing about America I like. If you work hard, you can get there. And I, we're working hard at this, and little by little, we're chopping away. We're getting there.
And even there, right? Like how many people went to college and sacrificed and didn't
Lots.
buy a new car and ate ramen and scrape and clawed by for 5 or 6 years to get rid of that debt. They put every extra penny.
My middle son paid his debt off. He is now debt free. And there again. Now there's a person. He's young, right? He's a young adult. He did everything the right way. He was smart. He lived without, and he paid his debt off. What's he gonna get now for people who didn't pay their debt off, right? Like here, I'm his dad. I still have a little, residual debt back there, and he paid his bachelor's degree off. What kind of, he's another one that could be pissed off, going, really? These people, kind of didn't do shit the right way, and I paid mine off, and they're getting a kick for it, and I'm not. So yeah,
I know, and I'll disclose some names when we're not recording. I know 3 people that went to college, and they've told me over like the last 5 years, they've been deferring because they keep thinking it's gonna get paid off.
Right. Yeah. True.
So they're not even making the payments because they just well, I keep hearing they're gonna pay it off. I'm keep hearing they're gonna pay it off. So they just keep deferring.
Yeah, I guess is shitty.
That's
smart,
3 people that I know.
Right. How many people are doing that now?
Right. Have been doing it. Because this has been talk for a long time.
Oh, yeah. For a few years, they've been talking about doing this. So, I don't know.
That's not right. That's not right either.
Pay it off. Give the other people some kicker. They did it during, the Rona deal, right? And the little extra in your unemployment, and people got some checks in the mail or in their direct deposit because of the state of the economy or whatnot, to help the world keep turning. So if you can do that, you could create a system in this for the.
Why haven't we seen any more of those checks?
Yeah, what the hell happened
to the state of the economy now?
Yeah, I mean it's worse now than it was then.
I was talking to a farmer the other day.
Yeah.
And I said, "How's the corn harvest?" He said, "Well, I'm not sure. I haven't harvested yet." I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, how's it looking?" So it's looking good. He's like, the ears filled out nice, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I said, "What's corn going for?" He said, $6 a bushel.
Wow.
I'm like, "What was it last year?" He said, $3.50.
Yep.
And I'm like, he goes, "That's what I understand." He said, "They say inflation's 10 or 12%." He's like, "Next year," he said, "you're paying for grain prices from 21 harvest."
Right.
He's like, now I was getting paid $3.50 a bushel. He said, when I get paid $6 a bushel this year, next year you're gonna feel the pain of that $6 a bushel corn.
What I understood, the research I did was next year will be the bad one.
That's what he was saying too.
Yep. Next year is going to be a terrible year for people, for food prices, for housing, for rent, for energy. Like they can tap the strategic reserve, play that fucking game all you want. Yep, gas is $2.99 a gallon. Woohoo! You know what? Still, a year ago it was over $1 a gallon less than it is right now. And next year that shit's going to be outrageous. So I believe that.
Yeah, I don't
do
know.
believe that next year is going to be the year of hurt.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's first.
I think you're going to see it in Europe this winter start with, energy. Man, those guys, I feel bad for them. Like, again, haven't we evolved to the point where, you're going to let a population of people just freeze to death, for bullshit
Again,
and profits and war?
there's so much propaganda right now. It's really hard to dig through the weeds and know what.
But energy's expensive. Pipelines have been blown up with natural gas. Like, so there are some things that are factual that we could kind of follow that paint the image. Like, I take it all at face value.
Where the water gets muddy, though, right? Because we hear these things, but I haven't actually heard from anybody confirming that, yes, this is, again, first casualty of war is the truth.
Sure.
Right? So I don't know how much of this is propaganda to keep things ramped up.
You know why I think it's not propaganda? Because I think it does the opposite. I think people knowing this would turn their taste of war off more than it would, make people want to dig in and double down and fight harder. I think it would. I think it would have the opposite. So I think they're hiding how bad it is.
If you're not backing my agenda,
right,
and I can put the squeeze on you,
right,
you'll stand your ground for a while. And I put the squeeze on a little harder. Eventually, you're gonna say, "Okay, my family's freezing. Just do whatever you gotta do to get my fucking heat turned back on." Right?
Right.
You're fine when it's only September and it's only getting down to 50. Yeah, it's all right. Come January when it's negative 20 and your family's freezing, all of a sudden you're like, just do whatever you have to do. I'm all in. I support it 100%.
I think if I had to guess, I'd say they're hiding it, the truth of how bad it really is. I think it's worse.
See, and I don't think it's as bad.
Yeah,
I think
one of the things.
I think this is I think this is more just
hype and bullshit.
Yeah, just trying to
fear mongering.
Keep the.
Hey,
keep me supporting it.
Blood and guts sell newspapers,
yeah,
right?
Right?
We know that. Good news doesn't sell shit.
Right.
So the feel good, warm and fuzzy stuff you're just not gonna get in media the way you will the blood and guts, but
in 3 months here we'll find out.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll see. Like these.
Yeah. If they, because it didn't. How long did it take in Texas for it to go viral? These people freezing and ceilings falling down from broken water lines and. Right? It didn't take long, and the internet was flooded with these videos of the despair that was happening.
And if there is, I mean, it'll spread around real fast.
So
I think that,
again, right now I'm very cautious with my assessment of what's going. I just don't have enough evidence yet to prove that.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, the gut feeling I have. Like I said, I don't believe everything I read. I don't believe everything I read if I read the same thing 3 times. I'm always looking for the angle. Where's the money? Show me where the money's going. And usually if you can follow the money, then you get to the truth eventually, some aspect of it. But I think things are just bad.
And granted, they're not. We saw it because you saw the wood, right?
Yeah.
You got wood delivered, right?
Yeah.
I ordered that wood in August.
Right.
And and it's not even great wood. I'll tell you that right now. No. I am grateful. I am so grateful to the man that delivers it, though.
Yeah.
I will get wood from him forever.
Right.
He is just the most genuine. He did me a solid by even getting it to me.
Right.
It's that bad in his industry.
Wow. Now, I was gonna. I noticed
this is something that I want to express.
Yeah.
Be fucking nice to people.
Right.
Be a better person.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the only reason that wood got dropped off here is because I sent him a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Right.
I sent
customer, man.
Right. I sent him a hat. I sent him a Christmas card with a couple lottery tickets in it, saying, "Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate you." And he remembered that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It goes a long ways.
Yeah. I've had some cold nights, where when I was solely wood dependent, a couple of the stories, waking up with a glass of water with a skim of ice on it, elbowing back and forth to who's going to get up to stoke the stove. Like, hell no, I'm not getting out from underneath this blanket. I just,
But
I'm scared for the people in the world.
My point is though, even that, he said, like he's having a hard time getting wood.
Right.
He said the mills are still all fucked up.
Are they still?
Fucked up? He's like, he's
not even.
He said I'm not taking any. He said I haven't taken any new customers in a year now.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I think when you really take a look.
So I know it's not good here either.
Right. I think we're behind them. I think they're further down the road than we are. Yeah. I think the forecasting. Watch what happens over there, and you get an idea of where we're going. Mm-hmm. Right. So if things are this bad here right now, I gotta believe then that some of this shit we're hearing over there is probably true. Even in a lie, there's always an amount of the truth buried within the lie, or the lie doesn't make sense. It would be too, that's bullshit, right? They got to put enough truth in it to get people to bite into it anyway. So,
well, my point is, I get it's not all rainbows and unicorns here either. I get it.
Yeah. I think next year will be a bad year. I think maybe I don't know. We'll ask the viewers. Think about doing a short video. Yeah. We could do a short video on building a bucket, or I don't know. What do you guys, if we were gonna do a short little show like that, maybe like a half an hour how to do video? What would you guys want to see? I'd like to dig into some of those subjects though, because they help people. If we can help give people some ideas, and it just softens some of the hardship that I believe's coming, it'd be worth making a video for. I think it'd be fun. Yeah. What do you think? About hunting time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Both of us want to get out in the woods and fill a freezer up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks, like, guys. Share, subscribe, rate. You know what to
do.
Help
us out, man. Yeah. Help us out.
Leave comments. Let us know what you guys liked hearing about, what you want to hear more about.
Yeah.
We'll answer every comment,
For sure.
Thanks, guys.